What's up guys, welcome back to CS2 Daily. I hope you're all having a great day. We've just wrapped up the first day of FISSURE Playground 2 over in Belgrade, and it was a wild one. TyLoo came out swinging with a dominant win over GamerLegion. 3D Max shocked the Mongols with a huge upset. Falcons completely destroyed Virtus.pro, and Aurora closed the day with a hard-fought win against Astralis in Magisk's big return. Plenty to get into, so let's not waste time. So we kick things off with GamerLegion versus TyLoo, and honestly this one was about as one-sided as it gets. TyLoo swept the series 2-0, taking Inferno 13-3 and Ancient 13-4 in a very dominant fashion. The Chinese squad just looked locked in from start to finish. G dropped 36 kills on Ancient. Jamyong and MongolZ both popped off as well, and the whole team posted huge ratings. Meanwhile, GamerLegion just never found their footing, and all of them just struggled to make impact across both maps. And not much more really to say. This was TyLoo making a statement win to open their run in Belgrade, and if they can keep this level up, they might be one of the dark horses of the tournament. Actually really happy TyLoo are doing so well, because I am a personal fan of them. But if we take a look at the stats here, Res with a -13. It's just a whole red carpet across the board, man. Pretty bad game for GamerLegion here. But yeah, Res with a -13, Kersey with a -12, ZTL with a -16. All of them putting up a subpar 1 rating apart from PR. And over on TyLoo, we have a +17 from Jamyong, a +16 from MongolZ, a +23 from G, and with a Mercury and Attacker both on a -3 and a -5, and Jamyong on a 1.75 rating. So all in all, amazing series for TyLoo, and hopefully they can drag this momentum in throughout the whole of the tournament. Next up, we had one of the biggest shocks of the day, 3D Max taking down the Mongols 2-1, and let's be real, nobody had this one predicted, unless you're a hardcore 3D Max fan. Yeah, I just did not see this one coming. But Inferno kicked things off, and the Mongols looked flat from the start. They actually fought back into a 10-8 lead on their T side, but then Maka just completely flipped the script, and he came alive late and dragged 3D Max over the line 13-10. Ancient was the map where Mongols looked like themselves, just wiping 3D Max out 13-5. 910 in particular was tearing them apart, and at that point I thought Mongols were about to settle in and close the series out. But Nuke told a different story. Mongols had a really shaky CT side, and 3D Max took full advantage of it. Once again, it was Maka leading from the front, and remember, he's just been freed from IGL duties recently, and you could see the difference. He wasn't stuck micromanaging, he was just fragging, and it paid off big time. Alongside Body, who also had a really solid series, they shut the door on Mongols 13-9 to complete the upset. And honestly, while 3D Max deserve a ton of credit, Mongols did themselves no favours here. The broadcast even mentioned they admitted they hadn't practiced coming into Fisher, and you could see it. Sloppy CT setups, no real flow, and just generally not sharp. Not really something I would expect from the Mongols not practicing at all, but you know, it is what it is. But my takeaway is this is one of those wake-up call games for Mongols. Yeah, they're still the Esports World Cup winners, but if you don't prep, Tier 2 teams like 3D Max will punish you. For 3D Max, though, this is a massive confidence booster. Maka dropping 57 kills across the series after being freed up from IGL, and that storyline could make them really dangerous moving forward. But there we have it, 910 ending the series with a +8 1.28 rating, Mizuno with a -2 and a 1.06 rating, Senzu with a +2 and 1.01 rating, but then we have Techno and Blitz with a -11 and -10. Pretty bad series from them. Lucky going -15 on the 3D Max's side with a 0.87 rating, and Maka and Body really putting on a great performance there with a +14 and a +11. Now on to Falcons versus Virtus.pro, and wow, this was absolutely brutal. Falcons absolutely dismantled Virtus.pro 2-0, and honestly this might go down as one of the fastest tier 1 best of 3s we've seen in a while. And this was Virtus.pro's first look, with Perfecto calling the shots and Young Turo stepping in as anchor, and it could not have started worse. On Mirage, their own map pick, they got stomped 13-1. The only thing worth remembering from Virtus.pro's perspective was Icy pulling off a 1v3 clutch, but everything else was a highlight reel for the Falcons. Tesses was pulling off clutches left and right, Modesty was farming as usual, and Kioske had an insane performance with a near 2.0 rating. It felt like Falcons were just toying with them at times. And Ancient wasn't any better. Virtus.pro lost a 5v3 and a 2v1 early, and from there the whole CT side collapsed. They only managed to scrape together 2 rounds in the entire map before Falcons closed it out 13-2. And here's the thing, I get that this is a brand new setup for Virtus.pro with Perfecto IGLing, but losing 26-3 across 2 maps is absolutely embarrassing. It's their worst map, worst series ever. So this wasn't just teething problems, this was a collapse. And on the flip side, Falcons look very, very scary. Nico didn't even need to be the star here because Kioske, MongolZ and Tesses were running the show. For Virtus.pro, the only way is up from here. It literally can't get any worse, but Falcons just sent a statement to the rest of Playground 2. If they can stomp like this without Nico going nuclear, good luck to whoever faces them next in this tournament, because they really, really, really do look like a new Falcons. And granted, it is against a collapsed Virtus.pro, but you know it definitely does say something. But if we take a look at the stats from the whole series, Kioske ending with a +17 and a 1.96 rating, Tesses with a +14 and a 1.93 rating, MongolZ with a +18 and a 1.87 rating, and Kixan with a +2 and Nico with a +3 there. Over on Virtus.pro, complete red carpet. Perfecto with a -15, Turo with a -16, Fit with a -11, Fame, yeah, it's just all bad. But great series from Falcons nevertheless. And to close out day 1, we had Aurora versus Astralis, and this one was all about Magisk making his return to Astralis, but instead of a fairy tale start, the Danes ended up falling short 2-1. Astralis actually struck first on Nuke, looking sharp with HUMILIATE leading by example. He pulled off a massive 1v2 early and even topped the scoreboard with 20 kills, guiding them to a 13-8 win. And honestly, it looked like the new lineup might hit the ground running. But Dust 2 was wild. Astralis were dead and buried at 3-11 down, but somehow clawed it all the way back to overtime thanks to more HUMILIATE heroics. But the problem was once it hit OT, Aurora woke up again. Xantares and Rocadia stepped up big, closing it out and forcing the decider, which was Overpass. And Overpass was where Astralis ran out of gas. Aurora stormed through on their T side, and even though Astralis tried to mount another comeback, it just wasn't enough. Aurora sealed it, taking this series 2-1. Device looked solid, Jabby played well too, and Magisk wasn't bad for his debut back in red. But the big concern is Stair. With Stavin out, he's supposed to be one of the key firepower pieces, and he ended this series with a 0.74 rating. That's not going to cut it if Astralis want to stay relevant against top 10 teams. From Aurora's side, Xantares was the difference maker, dropping 59 kills there, +14 and 1.15 rating. Plenty of impact when they needed it most. Astralis actually looked better than I expected for a team in transition, but unless Stair finds his form quick, Magisk's return won't be enough to carry them. Aurora, meanwhile, keep showing they're not just an upset team. When Xantares and Rocadia click, they can grind out wins against anybody. And they look pretty scary at the minute. Xantares, like I said, Xantares there with a +14 and 1.15 rating. Rocadia with a -4 and a 1.06 rating. Jota with a +4 and a 1.02 rating. Woxic with a +5. Major not having the greatest series with a -13, but it is what it is. And then over on Astralis, Device with a +8 and a 1.39 rating. Jabby with a +10 and a 1.15 rating. And then, yep, Stair with a abysmal -25. Really slacking there. Yeah, just tough series for him, man. And that wraps up day 1 here at FISSURE Playground 2. TyLoo stunned everyone with a dominant win over GamerLegion. 3D Max pulled off the upset of the day against the Mongols. Falcons absolutely demolished Virtus.pro in Perfecto's IGL debut. And Aurora closed it out by spoiling Magisk's Astralis return. Honestly, the big surprise for me was 3D Max taking down the Mongols, especially since Mongols came in as tournament favourites. And then Falcons, that performance against Virtus.pro was just brutal. It really sets the tone for what could be a crazy event in Belgrade. So with that said, this is what the group play is looking like thus far. Falcons, TyLoo, Aurora and 3D Max all move up into the 1 and O group, while the MongolZ, Astralis, GamerLegion, and Virtus.pro move down to the 0 and 1 group, with the rest of the groups being decided tomorrow. Kicking off with Heroic and Legacy, and then next up we will have G2 versus Lin Vision, and then following that will be FaZe versus Pain Gaming, and then the final game of the day will be Fury versus Team Liquid, the spiciest one of them all. So yeah, I will be covering all those games, so don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and as always, thanks for watching. Take care.